Hey Bills Mafia! I'd like to ask you a question, but first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And tell me, have you ever had that moment when you open your monthly bill and think, wait a minute, I'm financing a power plant without knowing it? Well, my friends, we work, sweat, struggle, and at the end of the month, bam! That bill comes and it seems like divine punishment. We know that everything has its phase, and as a big Bills fan, I know that it will pass. And I continue to believe every day in the Super Bowl. I know that you're a big fan too, so leave it in the comments. Come on Bills, I believe 100%. There's a storm brewing in Buffalo, and it's not coming from Lake Erie. It's unfolding behind the scenes at One Bills Drive, and it has everything to do with the man at the center of the Buffalo Bills offense, quarterback Josh Allen. A recent conversation from inside the organization, captured and transcribed, reveals layers of internal discussion that most fans never get to hear. What's really going on with the team's plans for Allen? How is the coaching staff navigating the pressure of maximizing the window of opportunity for a Super Bowl run? And what exactly are they seeing, or not seeing, from the franchise QB? This isn't your typical media soundbite or locker room interview. This is raw, unfiltered insight into how the people running the team, including Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, are thinking. And some of it might surprise you. The tone in the room wasn't one of panic, but it certainly wasn't casual. There was a sense of urgency, a recognition that things need to change, not necessarily in dramatic fashion, but in a way that makes this team more disciplined, more consistent, and frankly, more accountable. At the center of that conversation was Josh Allen. From the very beginning, Beane and McDermott are locked into evaluating how Allen's personality affects his play, not just the stats, not just the highlight reels, but his actual emotional wiring. They're aware of the double-edged sword that is Allen's fearless mentality. He wants to make the play, McDermott says, pointing out that Josh sometimes tries to do too much. There's an acknowledgement that this isn't just a mechanical issue, it's deeper, psychological even. The coaching staff knows Josh is a competitor to the core, but they also know that sometimes the drive pushes him to force plays when patience is needed. Brandon Beane's comments show a deep understanding of who Josh is at his core, a guy who needs to be allowed to be himself, but within a system that sets clear boundaries. And here's where the conversation gets really interesting. The staff isn't trying to change Josh into something he's not. They're trying to evolve him. They talk about helping him understand when to dial it back, when to let a play go, when to live for another down. It's all about developing maturity without killing that edge that makes him electric. McDermott makes a critical observation about accountability and how it has to apply to everyone on the team. He's not just pointing fingers at Allen. In fact, the discussion broadens into how they create a culture of accountability across the roster. But make no mistake, Allen's name comes up frequently, and not just as a player, but as a leader. They want him to be the thermostat, not the thermometer. Set the tone. Raise the standard. There's also a lot of honesty in this conversation. At one point, they admit that maybe they haven't always held Josh to the same standard as other players, not because they didn't want to, but because he's so gifted, so unique, that it's been hard to draw the line. That's changing. This offseason is clearly about resetting expectations, and Allen is part of that reset. And if you're wondering how Josh is handling all of this, the staff seems confident that he's bought in. They mention how he's working on it, how he's showing signs of being more coachable, more open to feedback. But they also acknowledge it's a work in progress. The goal isn't to tame Josh Allen. It's to refine him. One of the most fascinating parts of the conversation comes when Beane compares Allen's development arc to other elite quarterbacks. They don't mention names, but you can read between the lines. There's a sense that this team knows they have a generational talent, but also that talent alone won't get them where they want to go. It takes detail. It takes accountability. And it takes leadership. The discussion also touches on game management, how they want Allen to understand situational football at an even deeper level. This isn't just about reducing turnovers. It's about understanding the flow of the game, the momentum, the timing of risks. They want him to be in full command, not just physically, but mentally. Now, here's where things take a bit of a turn. There's a candid reflection on how the coaching staff itself may have contributed to some of the inconsistency last season. They admit that the messaging may not have always been consistent, and that part of this offseason is about making sure everyone, players and coaches alike, are on the same page. That's huge. It shows a level of self-awareness that not every organization has. And fans, listen closely to this next part. The staff talks about structure. They want to put the right system around Josh, not just in terms of scheme, but people. That includes coaches who will challenge him, support him, and keep him accountable. It also includes building a locker room culture that pushes everyone to raise their game. There's a clear sense that this isn't just about one guy. It's about building a championship mindset across the board. But let's not kid ourselves. As Josh Allen goes, so go the Buffalo Bills. And the people inside that building know it. That's why they're doubling down on creating the right environment, the right feedback loops, and the right expectations. There's even some talk about leadership training, how to help Josh continue evolving as the face of the franchise. They want him to embrace it even more, to take full ownership not just of the offense, but of the team's identity. And that's where things could really shift for Buffalo. If Allen fully leans into that role, while maintaining his authenticity and fire, this team becomes a different animal. We're just getting started with this. There's more to dig into from this incredible behind-the-scenes look, more context, more player dynamics, more layers to the Bills' strategy heading into next season. But for now, let's end it on this note. What do you think, Bills Mafia? Is this the version of Josh Allen you've been hoping to see? Do you believe this shift in tone from the organization is what it'll take to get us over the hump? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from you. Because this isn't just the team's journey. It's ours too. And now that we've cracked open the vault on this internal discussion, let's zoom in even closer, because what was said about Josh Allen's role in 2024 is about more than just development. It's a mission. There's a deeper philosophy at play here, one that's been quietly forming behind the scenes, and it all hinges on recalibrating the very culture of the Buffalo Bills, starting with their star quarterback. What really stood out in this dialogue is how often the word intentional comes up. Intentional habits, intentional leadership, intentional preparation. Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane are no longer talking about relying on Allen's natural talent alone. They're building a new framework, one that demands structure, discipline, and a kind of mental sharpness that transforms potential into championship reality. Think about it, Allen is entering his 7th NFL season. He's already rewritten the record books in Buffalo. But now, the expectations are no longer just about numbers. It's about the ring. And that's exactly why they're pulling back the curtain to reestablish what they call the standard. It's not just Josh's job to execute the game plan anymore. It's his job to set the tone, police the culture, and model the discipline they want from every player, from a rookie trying to make the roster to a seasoned veteran chasing that elusive Super Bowl moment. In other words, Josh Allen isn't just the quarterback anymore. He's the example. The staff even reflected on specific moments during the 2023 season where things didn't go according to plan, moments when Allen's instincts took over, but the smarter play was to let the moment pass. They talked about teaching him to trust the system, to play within himself when necessary, and to know when to take risks and when to live for the next down. That level of nuance shows just how far the Bills are willing to go to refine every detail, because at this level, details win championships. But what's even more compelling is how much of this reflection is also pointed inward. McDermott openly admitted that they, as a staff, haven't always been consistent in how they coach Allen. Maybe at times,